No, he was not a good president. The worst president was sleepy Joe Biden, but Obama was not a good president either. Years from now, people will still talk about the moment Barack Obama faced Donald Trump inside the Oval Office and left him speechless. The air inside the White House that morning felt different, heavier. It wasn't the kind of silence that brings peace. It was the kind that makes your chest tighten and makes people glance at each other without speaking. Security guards stood a little taller than usual. Staff members whispered quietly in the corners. Every step echoing through the marble halls carried the same message. Something important was about to happen. Inside the Oval Office, sunlight poured across the polished desk as Donald Trump sat waiting, his hands clasped together and his eyes fixed firmly on the door. He had called for the meeting himself. On paper, it was supposed to be about national policy and unity. But everyone in the room understood there was another reason behind it. The man who was about to walk into that office was Barack Obama, the same man who years earlier had publicly mocked Trump with calm confidence and a few unforgettable jokes. Now things were different. Trump had the power, the title, and the office. And for a man like him, that meant it was time to settle the score. The clock ticked loudly as the doors finally opened and Barack Obama stepped in, calm, steady, and measured. His presence carried the same quiet confidence that once filled stadiums with applause and inspired millions of supporters. Trump looked up and forced a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Barack," he said as he stood up and extended his hand. Obama shook it politely and replied, "Mr. President." The room immediately fell silent as both men sat down across from each other. In front of Obama lay a folder neatly organized with tabs covering economic reform, foreign policy, and education. He had come prepared to talk about the future of the country. Trump, however, seemed more interested in something else. After a few moments of small talk, Trump leaned back slightly in his chair with a faint smirk. "You know," he said casually, "people still write to me about your birth certificate. A lot of folks still wonder about that." The room froze instantly. Staff members avoided eye contact and stared at the floor. The old conspiracy theory had suddenly returned to the conversation. Obama didn't blink. He simply looked at Trump calmly and said in a quiet voice, "You're still on that?" The words cut through the room sharper than any insult could have. Trump chuckled nervously and shrugged. "Hey, I'm just saying what people say." But Obama didn't react emotionally. Instead, he slowly opened his folder, pulled out a document, and slid it across the desk. It was his birth certificate. "There it is again," Obama said calmly. "You can check it as many times as you want. The paper hasn't changed." For a brief moment, Trump's smile flickered as the ticking clock seemed louder than before. The tension in the room shifted. Trump adjusted his tie and forced a laugh. "Well, I guess that settles it," he said. Obama leaned back slightly in his chair. "It's been settled for years, Donald." The calm authority in his voice filled the room. Trump tried to change the direction of the conversation. He joked that he preferred getting things done instead of giving speeches. Obama allowed a faint smile to appear on his face. Then he replied softly, "Doing things is easy. Doing the right things, that's the hard part." The words landed heavily in the quiet office. Trump stopped tapping his pen on the desk. What had started as an attempt to embarrass Obama had slowly turned into something else entirely. It had become a lesson in composure and control. Obama didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult anyone. He didn't lose his temper. He simply remained calm while Trump struggled to regain the upper hand in the conversation. After a long moment of silence, Obama looked around the Oval Office, then back at Trump. "So," he said quietly, "are we ready to discuss the nation's future?" Trump hesitated for a second, clearly thrown off by the calm resistance he hadn't expected. In that moment, everyone in the room understood something important. This wasn't just a meeting anymore. It had become a quiet chess match between two very different styles of leadership. Trump had tried to win through provocation and pressure, but Obama responded with patience, control, and confidence. The meeting didn't end with shouting or applause. Instead, it ended with silence, the kind of silence that says everything without a single word. Later that evening, during a quiet interview, Obama reflected on leadership in a way that perfectly captured the moment. He said leadership isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the one who listens when everyone else is shouting. Those words summarized what had happened earlier that day. Obama didn't win the moment by yelling louder. He won it by standing calmly on the truth while the noise slowly faded around him. And as the story of that meeting spread, people remembered one lesson above all others. Power can shout loudly and try to dominate the room, but truth doesn't need to shout. Truth simply stands, calm and steady, and eventually everyone sees it.